Welcome all. Today in this video we are going to understand the gross anatomy of the spleen. Myself Dr. Ankit Khandelwal, MBBS and MS in Anatomy. This is my YouTube channel Anatomy Explained. Here we discuss all the important concepts of human anatomy. So if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, it is high time you consider subscribing to this channel. So let us come to the topic, that is our spleen. So few basic things about the spleen before going to the main anatomy part. That it is the single most largest aggregation of the lymph tissue in the body. Where it is located? It is located in the abdomen, where in the left hypochondrium region of the abdomen. Developmentally it is coming from the mesoderm, because that's being a lymphoid organ, so it is developmentally coming from mesoderm, or we can more specifically call as a part coming from the dorsal mesogastrium. Okay, few dimensions of it, particular dimensions, you can remember it by the odd names 1, 3 and 5. So 3 is 3 inches in inches. So 1 inch is the thickness of the spleen, 3 inch is the breadth of the spleen, and 5 inch is around the length of the spleen. It lies where it lies in the left hypochondrium, and the left hypochondrium, it is lying just below the diaphragm in front of the ribs. Which ribs? Around 9th to 11th ribs. So it is lying in front of the 9th to 11th ribs. In half of the cases also we have seen that the spleen lies in front of the 10th to the 12th rib also. Okay, so it is lying in front of these ribs. Now how to understand it? You just take the spleen in your hand in the cadaveric or in the dissection hall. You take the spleen in your hand and you put the spleen like this on your left hand. You extend your left palm, you put the spleen over here in front of your 3 fingers, like the index, middle and the ring finger. These 3 fingers represent the 3 ribs, and the spleen which is located over like this, that is the position of our spleen. So length is around 5 inches, 5 inches around 12-13 centimeter. Breadth is around 3 inches, 3 inches around 8 centimeter, and thickness around 1 inch, that is 2.5 centimeter. So that is the location. Now let us see the location in respect to the rib cage also. So this is the rib cage that is shown over here, and if we look into this rib cage, then this would be the location of our diaphragm. That is the location of our diaphragm, which actually covers, which separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. That is the location of diaphragm, going from like 2 domes. So this is the diaphragm over here, and if we talk about the spleen is located somewhat over here between the 9th to 11th or 10th to 12th rib, somewhat over here deep to it. So actually the spleen is said to be sandwiched. This is the location of the spleen. The spleen is said to be sandwiched between the diaphragm above and the visceral organs, abdominal visceral organs below and medially. And what lies above the diaphragm? What lies above the diaphragm? We can very well know that there is a left pleura over here, and with it we have the left lower lobe of the left lung. Lower lobe of the left lung. Obviously, pleura, when we say pleura, we mean costodiaphragmatic recess. So the position of the spleen is like this. If you talk about the surface marking of the spleen, well, that is also very important. So spleen is lying there mainly to the posterior lateral side. So surface marking is, if you feel the spine of the T10 thoracic 10th vertebrae, it is 4 centimeter lateral to it, the most posterior poles, that is we mean this pole over here, the posterior pole. 4 centimeter lateral to the T10 spine around over here, and then it goes this laterally and forwards. It may reach around 3 centimeter anterior to the mid axillary plane on the left side. Mid axillary plane on the left side. So it goes laterally and forward, 3 centimeter anterior to the mid axillary plane. Mid axillary plane is what? Between the anterior and the posterior axillary fold. Anterior found by the pectoralis major, posterior found by the latissimus dorsi. Somewhere between them you have the mid axillary plane. Spleen goes 3 centimeter in front of it. Okay, so if we imagine, say, if we make the spleen up like this, okay, so it is sitting on the 3 ribs. So you have to imagine that these 3 ribs over here are behind the spleen. It is sitting on the 3 ribs. Here you have the midplane posteriorly, so somewhat over here you have the T10 spine, and then for 4 centimeter from here you have the posterior pole. So this is the location of the posterior pole, also known as the superior pole, because posterior is slightly higher up. Then it goes with the there's a axis of the ribs, and then it crosses the mid axillary plane and reaches over here. This is the anterior pole. Normal people, it lies 3 centimeter in front of the left mid axillary point. So that is the location, covered up by the upper part of the diaphragm, and below you have the visceral organs. So now let us try to see what are the various relations. That is very important. So now if we roughly make the diaphragm over here, then is the right dome of diaphragm, the central tendon, and the left dome of diaphragm goes like this. And here we have this as our organ of discussion today, that is the organ, that is the spleen, lying in the left hypochondrium. We are not making the ribs you can understand they are lying posteriorly. Now it is a intraperitoneal organ. Therefore, you have to imagine that it is slightly anteriorly covered totally by the peritoneum, except where you have the peritoneal folds. So what are the relations of it? Relations of it are few viscera lying on the left side. So if you talk about the surface of the spleen, this surface is known as a visceral surface, which is facing the visceral organs, and that surface which is facing the smooth part of the diaphragm, that is your smooth convex diaphragmatic surface. So it is facing the diaphragm, that is the visceral surface. Now let us try to see the organs over here. Okay, so over here, if you remember the left kidney lies where? The left kidney lies right in front of the 11th and 12th ribs. Spleen was where? In the 9th, 10th, 11th rib. So this would be the location somewhat of the left kidney. Yes or no? So that is the location of left kidney. So this left kidney's upper lateral surface is touching the spleen. Okay, let me make over here the splenic hilum also, just for the reference. So this is the location of the splenic hilum, where the vessels and all they will enter. So this left kidney is located over here. Now left kidney is what? It is a primary retroperitoneal organ. It is covered by a secondary retroperitoneal organ, and that secondary retroperitoneal organ which covers the left kidney, as we made a video on it also, we will show you in the link in the description box also. That is a pancreas. So this is the head and uncinate process of pancreas, that is the neck and the body, and the tail reaches close to the hilum of the spleen. So this pancreas is actually covering the left kidney. We are going from posterior to anterior to avoid all the confusion. So this tail of pancreas over here, is close to the hilum of the spleen. So left kidney, and we have the pancreas over here. Now pancreas, we know pancreas is lying where? In the concavity of the diaphragm. So this is your first part of diaphragm, that is the second part diaphragm, that is the third part, and there would be a small fourth part lying slightly above. Diaphragm, this duodenum. Did I say diaphragm? That is duodenum, the four parts of duodenum. Duodenum continues as the part of the stomach. Stomach continues as the esophagus. Esophagus slightly to the left of midline, it appears a diaphragm around the T10 vertebrae. And esophagus, then you have a small abdominal part of esophagus, and this would be your lesser curvature, and that would be a fundus part, and that would be your greater curvature. So you can see the fundus of the stomach, that is also touching the spleen. Another visceral relation, stomach, and this was your kidney, this was the pancreas. Now we also have done the pancreas part, and in pancreas we have known that in front of the second part duodenum and the front of pancreas we have this root of which peritoneal fold, that is root of transverse mesocolon. So you have the transverse colon also attached. Now transverse colon is an intraperitoneal organ. So you have this hanging loop of the transverse colon. That loop actually reaches the lower end or the anterior pole of the spleen, and then it curves over here as the descending colon. This becomes over here as the descending colon. So here what you have, this is the colic impression, or you can say the splenic flexure of colon. So these are the main 3-4 viscera which are actually related to the spleen. So let us now assume over here once again and try to highlight all this stuff over here. In the spleen, this was the area of the gastric impression. They all make impressions on the spleen, so visceral surface becomes concave. This over here becomes the renal impression of the spleen. This over here becomes the colic impression of the spleen. And this is the hilum where the tail of pancreas may reach. Now moving from here, if we try to make the arterial supply, then we know the abdominal aorta starts where? At the T12 level. So this was T10, so we can imagine, okay, this is level where the T12, where the abdominal aorta actually started. It will give off the celiac trunk. Celiac trunk gives off 3 branches, the left gastric artery. Then you have the splenic artery which runs a tortuous course over the superior border or close to the superior border of pancreas, and it reaches inside the spleen into the splenic hilum. That is the arterial supply of the spleen by the splenic artery. The third artery which is given off by the celiac trunk is your common hepatic artery, which will go on this side. It will give off the gastroduodenal behind the duodenum, continue as a proper hepatic artery. Now that celiac trunk also we have done a lecture on it, a session on it in the video. The link will be there in the description box, or if you go to my channel, then everything is available over there. Okay, so these are the tortuous splenic artery which is going to the spleen. If we talk about the venous drainage of the spleen, then venous drainage of the spleen comes as in the form of splenic vein, which runs behind the body of pancreas, and over here it will meet up with the superior mesenteric vein, and they form the portal vein over here. This is the portal vein. Now that will also run above, and that is going where? This portal vein is going into the liver. So you can see the blood which is draining up from the spleen, the sequestered RBCs, the bile products, they are all going to the liver to form the bile. Okay, so one of the important functions of the liver is formation of bile. So these are the few visceral relations Now, as the spleen was an intraperitoneal organ, let us try to understand few of the the peritoneal ligaments around the spleen. For understanding the peritoneal ligaments, let us move on to our basics again, and let us try to make this as a transverse section of the abdominal wall. If this is a transverse section, that is the anterior aspect, that is the posterior aspect, and if we take the gut part over here, considering the stomach over here, this is the stomach part. And now let's try to make few of the peritoneal ligaments. The stomach is an intraperitoneal organ, so covered by the peritoneum. From stomach there is a double layered fold going anteriorly, known as ventral mesogastrium. Posteriorly it is going as the dorsal mesogastrium. Then they become the parietal peritoneum and they meet up with this mesogastriums over here. So this becomes your PP, parietal peritoneum. This becomes your VMG, ventral mesogastrium. That becomes your DMG, dorsal mesogastrium. Now where was the spleen getting developed? The spleen was developing inside the dorsal mesogastrium through some aggregation of tissues. So this is the location of the developing spleen. And in the ventral mesogastrium there is also an organ which is developing over here. That was your big organ, that is the liver. But that liver is in direct continuation with the gut part via the CBD, common bile duct. The spleen is not directly related to the gut part. It is a lymphoid tissue, lymphoid organ. Now what happens over here, we also remember, if you remember a few part of the embryology, that there was a 90-degree rotation of the foregut to the right side. So that will rotate slightly 90-degree to the right side, this being the right, that being the left side. So therefore the spleen moves to the left side and his liver moves to the right side. But over here we are talking about the ligaments. So let us move back to the ligaments. This ligament between the stomach and the spleen, that is known as gastrosplenic, as we can understand the name, gastrosplenic. This ligament, now this spleen will try to go to the left side. So here we have the left kidney and here we have the right kidney, retroperitoneal organ. So therefore this ligament, which will be now over here, that would be known as your splenorenal ligament, or also known as a linorenal ligament. Linorenal ligament. They are all derivatives of which mesogastrium? The dorsal mesogastrium. But there is a variable ligament also over here, because behind the spleen you don't only have the kidney, you also have the diaphragm. The diaphragm is actually covering the spleen from posterior as well as superior. So there is a variable ligament present sometimes over here, and that is known as your phrenicosplenic ligament. So that is known as phrenicosplenic ligament. That is a variable ligament, but that is sometimes present. Okay, so these are few ligaments which are connected to the spleen. Just to finish up this story, the ventral mesogastrium, the derivatives of VMG, between the stomach and liver, this is your lesser omentum. Then it covers the liver. We have done a peritoneal ligaments of the liver, also separate topic, as your coronary ligaments. And then from the liver to the anterior abdominal wall, this becomes your falciform ligament. That is a little bit of basics. Now we will try to do what? We will try to take out all of these ligaments from this basic conceptual figure and we'll try to put them in the body. So here we go again. So this is all the relation that we did. Now let us try to make few ligaments over here. Let us try with this yellow color between this in this kidney and the spleen. Between this kidney and the spleen, I guess this black would do over here. This is the location of the linorenal ligament. Okay, so that would be the location of the linorenal ligament between the kidney and the left kidney and the spleen. Between the stomach and the spleen, you have the location of the gastrosplenic ligament over here. They are all connected. And between the spleen and the diaphragm, variable phrenicosplenic ligament. So these are three ligaments over here. One more ligament, very important clinically, is that when this splenic flexion of colon bends down from the spleen, there is a ligament over here which is connecting the colon to the diaphragm. That is known as your phrenicocolic ligament. So these are few ligaments which are connected to the spleen. Okay, now what is the importance of these? The importance of these is there is a very common procedure done, that is known as splenectomy, because spleen is the most common organ to damage or rupture in case of blunt abdominal trauma. So when the spleen is damaged, best is to take it out, because the spleen is not essential for life. If you take the spleen out, those functions will be carried out by the liver or other lymph tissues. The problem that comes, or the complication that comes after removing the spleen, are the opportunistic infections known as OPSI, which are known as overwhelming post-splenectomy infections, particularly by the this encapsulated bacteria, encapsulated like pneumococcus, streptococcus pneumoniae, or hemophilus. So that is one complication. So if you have a planned splenectomy, we normally give vaccines for those infections beforehand. But yes, in case of emergency, you have to take it out. Now if you have to take it out, spleen, then if you can see from the figure that there are a lot of viscera which are actually touching the spleen. So if you just try to remove the spleen out like this, or you try to mobilize other organs, then you may rupture the capsule of the spleen. So best over here, you have to cut a few ligaments. Now what ligaments you need to cut before mobilizing the spleen are your, first of all, go with the phrenicocholic ligament. Then after that, go with gastrosplenic ligament. Then if there is present, phrenicosplenic ligament. Mobilize these ligaments and cut these ligaments, then you can easily mobilize the spleen. After these, after you have cut these ligaments, you try to ligate the splenic artery, because when you ligate the splenic artery, the blood flow to the spleen decreases. So that is also one important thing. If you talk of the weight of the spleen, the weight of the spleen normally is around 70 to 120 or 130 grams raw weight. But in body, the weight is around 200 to 300 or 350 grams. Why? Because there is a lot of blood inside the spleen. So once you ligate the splenic artery over here, and again in that ligation of the splenic artery, you have to keep in mind that splenic artery you ligating around the splenic hilum. Tail of pancreas very close to it. So you have to remember that when you are ligating the splenic artery, you are not damaging the tail of pancreas. So once you ligate the splenic artery, the blood will come out through the splenic vein, then you can mobilize the spleen part. Okay, so that was the splenic artery ligation, and this is somewhat of the ligaments. Ligaments relations are very important, visceral relations are important. One more thing is that when the splenic artery goes inside the spleen, it will normally divide into anterior posterior branches, which will actually give off the few of the segmental arteries. Now these segmental arteries of the spleen, these are your end arteries. Why? Why? Because the development of spleen was by the aggregation of the tissues in the dorsal mesogastrium. All those small tissues, they had their different supply, and they maintain their different supply even after fusion. Therefore, the segmental arteries, they are end arteries. So if there is any thrombus to any segmental artery, it will cause infarction to that part of the spleen. That is also one thing which you have to understand. Second part, as it is formed by all of these small aggregations, therefore there could be very normal that you find this, some notches over here in the close to the superior margin of the spleen. That is also one thing. Plus, few parts of the spleen, they may not fuse, they form what we call it as a supernumerary or the accessory spleens. Accessory spleens or supernumerary spleens, also known as spleenunculus. That is some tissue of the spleen which are not at their original or what is their final location. These are normally found close to the splenic hilum. You may find them related to the greater omentum or in the gastrosplenic ligament. These are the common locations where you may find these. Remember, it is embryologically, so there was fusion of so many tissues. Okay, so this was your spleen part. Importance of spleen, what happens, what is the peritoneal ligaments and the visceral relations of the spleen. So that's all. I hope you like the gross anatomy of the spleen. This was only the gross anatomy part of the spleen. You can also find my lectures on Unacademy. Here in Unacademy, we try to discuss all the important, again, the medical lectures are over there. So you can go through that NEET PG section of the Unacademy. You can search my name and you can use this code if you want to subscribe to Unacademy. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Anatomy Explained. Here we try to discuss all the important concepts of the human body. That's all, guys. Thank you very much. Dr. Ankit Khandelwal, Anatomy Explained.